What's up, everybody? It is a week 3. We had the reacts early. We had the week 3 preview edition now of we'll call it the Talking Ball podcast. My boy, Big Faro in the house. We just
What up,
come to you
Sponge?
every week, every day, talking some college ball. We didn't get to do a preview of your Canes because they actually played last night. So, we'll just do a quick rehash of what your boys did down in the 305 and obviously an opponent kind of like the Gators last week, McNeese State style game against
Yeah.
BCC, but they did what they needed to do, right? That's what you want to do in those type of games.
Yeah, for sure. They still dominating on the lines of scrimmage, flying to the ball. I mean, TVD looked good. Restrepo with 6 catches, over 100 yards. So, just having those guys roll in and just be dominant. Like, I love seeing the offensive line being dominant. They're supposed to do that to a team like BCC. There are a couple times where you're just watching the linemen push guys down the field, and you're just like, I love this, especially as a Canes fan. In the last couple of years, you haven't really seen those guys dominate up front like that. And then we had running backs just rolling in. The best part of the night is seeing Don Chaney. That kid get back on the field after a couple of years of injuries, running hard. He had a couple juke cuts and whatnot. You're like, all right, the knee's better. So he's good to go. It looks like we got out of there with a win, like we were supposed to. Happy about that. The best part is no injuries.
Yep.
That I saw. A lot of guys, a lot of the starting defensive linemen didn't play last night, which is great. I mean, the only other thing I got to rant about is punt returns. Restrepo did it again last night. Fielding the ball.
A veteran guy.
Listen,
too, man. Come on.
fielding the ball at the 3-yard line. It is driving me nuts. And it's just not the Canes. It's every
it's not. Yeah, it's these kids want to freaking make that highlight play. So what do? They think, all right, I can catch this. I got room back here. I'm gonna make something happen. And like 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna make something happen. You got to just be smart and just it's not worth the risk of
it isn't. It
turnover. I mean, granted, in a game like that, you can and I don't know if that's kind of their mindset sometimes. We're blowing these guys out. I can make a play on this. I can go house on these guys. And then you take that risk. But again, it's just not worth you don't want to practice bad habits in games.
No, even, you really don't.
Because then what if that happens, in a couple of weeks in Chapel Hill or Florida State or, do that.
Like you said, it happened last week against Texas A&M and it happened last year. And that's what causes the game.
Right.
This year, we're just flat out better than Texas A&M when we won the game and it didn't cost us.
But guess what? It also did. It also let, A&M take control of the game early, and then they kind of dictated the pace of the game and all that, and it kept it close when, in all actuality, you guys were a way better team than A&M, and then it showed in the second half. But again, kind of like week 1 with the Gators, you can't have those dumb penalties where you're inside the red zone and you go backwards, and you can't get yourself out of a hole. Yeah, so
the game-changing coach needs to step up. But one more thing about that. Just to kind of give people an idea of what those guys are looking at. Me being an offensive lineman, people would be like, oh, what is he talking about? He doesn't know. And I get that. But remember, I don't know if you remember in high school, during special teams period, me and Big Hammer used to be out there feeling punts and kicks and all of that. And it's like to give people an idea of what goes on, you're looking up at the sky.
Yeah.
And there's 10 people running at you.
Yeah.
And the scaredest I've ever been on the football field is looking up in the sky. And next thing you know, you're hearing pads, you're hearing people run down the field. And then I remember one of the guys just running up next to me going, boo. And I'm just jumping like, what the hell? So it's like one of the scariest things to do. So I'm not sitting there saying it's easy. It really is. You got to have a different mindset to be able to do that. And like I said, I'm not saying it's easy, but heels at the 10.
You got to have that, that peripheral, that feeling, because you got your eyes up and, you got to kind of keep them, downfield a little bit to kind of get a feeling of who's coming around you. Do you have room?
Exactly.
9 times out of 10, just go ahead and fair catch it and be like, I'm just going to fair catch this thing. I'm not in a good position. That's the other thing too. Situational awareness and like knowing where you are on the field to be like, you know what, this is going to be one of those deeper kicks, or they're going to try to pin us down here, or they could be kicking from their own end of the red, like on their own 10 or something. Hey, I might get some room on this one, so I might be able to go. But if you're kind of in that no man's land of that area where you're going to be backed up towards the end zone, call fair catch and get out of there.
Yeah, unless you're
Call
Devin
fair
Hester.
catch.
If you're Devin Hester or Rocket Ishmael or Desmond Howard or Dion, if you're not named any of those guys, just stay away from it. Just let it go. Because like you say, a game like Bethune, you could take a chance and say, hey, do we have that guy back there? But when it gets down to the nitty-gritty in the playoffs or playing for a championship or just needing a big win, just don't do it. Just don't do it. And once again, disclaimer, guys, I know. I wasn't a kick returner, but I was trying to give people an idea of it's a scary thing looking up. And I think I didn't do any more punt returns. And this was against air. It was just me back there. Scary.
Yeah, no, I was gonna like I say, echo the offense did what they needed to do against BCC. Tyler Van Dyke, another efficient night.
Missed 19 to 23, I believe it
19 to 23 for 247 and 2 touchdowns. Like you said before, your boy Chaney, he had the most rushing yards of the night on 7 carries. And Restrepo was the leading receiver. I like the fact that Brashard Smith got some catches. He didn't have the week before. It was more of the Colby Young and Jacoby George that had the big catches, last week against A&M. So finding more guys in the offense, as the weeks go on.
And the defense. The great part about this week, you rolled in more guys than normal just because Nigel Kelly didn't play, then Brandon Dean didn't play, and then Mesidor didn't get in there. So you were able to get Bain more snaps, even though he had a ton of snaps against A&M. And then, you got Jafari Harvey playing more on the outside. Hey, Oakleaf's own Chance Williams getting on the field more. So, it was great to see more guys rolling in, the Malik Bryant's, the freshmen getting in there. So it was great seeing that last night. It was a game you're supposed to win.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. All right, well, since we're done with the Canes and we didn't do a preview of that game, which wouldn't have been much of a preview anyways.
Pretty much.
We'll roll over to the other state school that is
team out west.
And the team out west. The hot team that everybody's in love with right now, the Florida State Seminoles, are they're going to play in Chestnut Hill at Boston College, which used to be one of those games where you'd be like, sneaky, like be careful, but I don't see it. Boston College is not the same type of team they've been in the past, and Florida State is definitely rolling on offense and defense, looking good in all phases. I don't see this much of a matchup at all. The line is like almost 30 points, and I would take Florida State to cover in this one.
Well, I hold on that one. The only reason why I say hold up on that one is the weather is going to be bad. That Hurricane Lee is still moving up in that area, so they're expecting
26 is the line.
They're expecting a big downpour up there, so that could affect the game in a little bit, where guys are dropping the ball or putting the ball on the ground. Florida State's going to win. I'm not saying the weather is going to. The biggest thing is the spread may be a little lower. Mike may say, hey, let's just run the ball. Let's be physical. And let's get the hell out of here with no injuries, because the last thing you need is Jordan Travis to get hurt running or throwing the ball in this bad weather that it's supposed to be. So that's what they're saying. So I don't know about the spread. I would take probably Boston College just because of the weather, unless I see
the points.
Yeah, I mean, just because of the weather more than anything, and you just want to get out of this game. The biggest thing about this game too is you're going on the road. It's a noon game, and it's your first conference game. You want to get up there, get the kids used to being on the road, and let's get a big win and get out of there against a team you should dominate.
Yeah,
but that's pretty much it.
And, and there's a little bit of no look ahead to Clemson next week. Take care of business and do what you need to do.
Get back on the plane, be back in Tallahassee before 8:00.
Yeah, exactly. No, like I say, there's not much to really break down, in my opinion, on this one. I think Florida State rolls. Obviously, if the weather is a factor, it could make the game a little closer than it's supposed to be. But I think Florida State can almost name their score on offense when they want to do what they want to do.
They just got too many veterans on that team to allow them to go up there and lay an egg. At least that's what we're hoping, right? You're supposed to go up there and beat a team like this.
Yeah, this is the games where Florida State fans would be like, oh, I don't know where we are. Yeah, we look good and beat LSU, but
you're hoping the kids aren't looking ahead to Clemson.
Your team is good now.
Oh yeah,
you should expect them to go up and take care of business like they used, like the old Florida States. When they're not playing one of the big time schools on the schedule, Florida State would win 48-7, just like Miami did last night. It'd be like, you know, they would just be like, hey, let's get back to basics and let's do what we got to do and just win the game. Get out of there with a win. No injuries and all that stuff, like you said. So, yeah, that one was pretty easy to talk about. So I guess we'll move on to the other big one. My boys, you know,
let's
got to get what we said we needed to start doing in the pod was to start giving predictions and what we think is going to happen and all that stuff. Well, obviously, we're breaking it down and then we do a reacts. But you know, week 1, Florida, Utah, and then Florida State, LSU, and even last week we really didn't give a prediction. We both thought Texas A&M was going to beat Miami. They needed to show us and all that stuff, which the Canes did do. So now, obviously, what I'd like to do going forward, obviously, we just picked the Noles to roll. You know, there hasn't been that other premier game, so we'll break down the Gators and the Vols, and basically, you know, say, you know, who you got, like, so now we can look smart or dumb, as we say, you know, as most people when they start predicting games and trying to project what they think is going to happen, you just kind of never know. But yeah, the Gators obviously taking on Tennessee tomorrow night in the Swamp. Like, it should be rocking and rolling. You know,
Swamp's going to be rocking.
The Swamp should be lit. And what's crazy, the stat that I saw that, you know, that everybody's been talking about is, you know, Tennessee's won 5 games in Gainesville, and they played there, you know, since 1953, basically. 2 of those wins were in 1953 and 1955. You know, as of recent in the last decade, Tennessee's only won twice in Gainesville, and that was 01, the 9/11 year, in 03. So the Gators have completely, like that, like we've dominated Tennessee in the series, and you know, even up until you know,
I got a funny one for you. I saw on Twitter the other day. You know, Peyton actually does have a win in Gainesville. Peyton Manning, when he was at Tennessee.
I know it wasn't against the Gators, but
no, it was a bowl game. It was a bowl game when TIA was getting renovated.
They played NC State or something.
They played somebody in Gainesville because they moved the Gator Bowl game from Jacksonville to Gainesville for those 2 years. And that's his only win in Gainesville. Like, I had no idea about that.
AKA
like,
not versus the Gators. So
yeah, you're happy about that. You're happy about that.
He's over on those games. So that's cool. That's cool, Peyton. That's cool, Peyton. I like it. No, that's,
I mean,
that's
still, hey, at least
a little nugget.
Say he won in Gainesville.
Yeah. No, like I say, the key to the game, in my opinion, is the line of scrimmage. You know, Florida had a tough time blocking Utah. The Gators couldn't run the ball. They didn't try to run the ball. It wasn't in the game plan. They got behind early. You know, threw it way too much, in my opinion, at Utah, even though Mertz had a decent game, you know, completion percentage rise. But, you know, a lot of those yards were kind of like, I don't know, garbage yards and just, you know, whatever. But you got to get down to the basics of, all right, Billy, you got to run scheme this thing up to where we can run the ball. We got to try to run the ball. That's our strength. You know, we obviously did it last week against a high school team. So now what can you do against a Tennessee team that looks pretty damn good on that front? I think I saw the stat. I think they're like number 2 in the country in sacks already, and tackles for loss. They're like the top 5. So like that front 4 is definitely getting after the quarterback. Now, on the flip side, they're playing Virginia, who I don't think is very good. And then they played Austin Peay. So like the level of talent that they've played against hasn't been as good as, you know, Florida playing Utah. But if the Gators can't block Tennessee, if they can't protect Mertz or can't create run holes, it's going to be a long day, in my opinion. And like I say, so that's, what are we going to do to be able to run the ball, basically, is a big question.
Well, the keys to the game for me, for UF, is stopping the big play. We know that Joe Milton has a howitzer as an arm, and he can throw it deep. So those safeties are going to have to play back. Are they going to play back? And how does the defensive coordinator play it? Just because of Tennessee's offense, because if they're on the right hash, you know that the receivers on the left side are going to be next to the sideline. So they're going to have 30 yards in between the left tackle and the receivers. So does your defense coordinator, what kind of bind does that put them in? Do the Gators play 5, 6 in the box? Do they bring 7 in the box? Because even though Tennessee has everyone spread out, they truly still want to run the football.
Yeah. So and they've been successful this year running the football too.
Yeah. So, but you still got to worry about those big time receivers with was it Squirrel White? and you still got Brew McCoy out there, so they still got playmakers on the outside. So you have to worry about that. So that's what I'm curious to see is how they play defensively. The Gators play. Like, do they try to stop the run? Do we stop the big play? Because, like you say, those safeties still got to worry about. Joe Milton could throw the ball 90 yards.
Yeah,
he can throw it. So they're gonna take more shots down the field.
No, I agree. And the thing going in that I know, because I've seen Joe Milton, I feel like for 20 years, because
he's been
I
in
saw
college for a while.
Well, he's been in college forever, but I knew him as like a 10th grader. He played 7-on-7 with Kiwan down there in one of the Orlando teams, when we played 7-on-7. So I saw him, ripping it as a 15-year-old, and I could like, damn, this kid's got a gun. But the one thing I've also known is his accuracy is pretty shitty.
It's not the greatest.
He's not accurate at all, in my opinion. Everybody talks about AR. They like to compare him and AR a little bit. AR is a way better runner than him, and AR is more accurate than Joe Milton, in my opinion. But that's for a whole nother argument. But he has a rocket launcher, but sometimes he doesn't know where it's going, and it showed in these first two games. He's been this is one of the big stats that they said at this point last year. I think Tennessee had 9 explosives. That means a play over 20 yards.
Yeah.
This year they've got 2.
That tells you everything. But at the same time, has the coach, I forgot his name, have they kind of scaled it back a little bit? Yeah, Josh Heupel. Have they scaled it back a little bit the first 2 games and say, you know what, we just want to run the ball. We just want to get W's. Yeah. We want easy throws for Joe. And now with this game, are they going to open that playbook? Is that playbook going to be opened up?
We'll have to wait and see, because in my opinion, it's not that they were playing vanilla against Austin Peay. What I've seen from even Tennessee people, they were kind of disappointed in his performance last week against Austin Peay. It was like what they were saying was all his completions were on those 0 right now balls, east and west, versus at least completing something down the field. And he hasn't really hit the big chunk play. I think even those 2 big plays are for just 20 yards, and that's it. He hasn't hit the big long touchdown pass. But
those plays are still dangerous too, throwing those 0 plays. And how do your corners play?
You get a block, and a guy goes, house on you for sure. So and like you said before, a lot of people, if they don't pay attention to how Heupel's offense really works, he loves to play that 2x2 look, and he will put the receivers to the numbers, to the sideline, and basically make, like you said, put your conflict safeties, nickel guys to basically do I want to come in here and help run block? Am I going to, slide out to this underneath route, and basically you got to pick and choose. So
and throw RPO, in my opinion, throw RPO in that too is dangerous.
True. But in my opinion, if I'm Armstrong, I'm coming after Joe Milton. I'm going to say, you know what? We're going to run blitz. We're going to run blitz, and we're going to blitz you, and basically say, you are going to have to beat us with that arm. You are going to let's see you throw one 90 yards for a touchdown. And then when you do that, I'll tip my cap to you and say, good job. Congratulations. Yeah. But until then, I'm making Joe Milton complete balls, because he's got to show me first, because he's been, like I say, not accurate. And I think a big deal too is, people are saying, they got Squirrel White and Brew McCoy. Like, guess what? It ain't Jalen Hyatt and ain't Cedric Tillman. Those guys were difference makers. Now, I do love Tennessee's backs. Jabari Small, aka
shout out
Eddie Small, Forest Rebel, homeboy. But his son's been balling, and Jalen Wright is another guy who's been toting the mail.
Yeah,
they're actually running the ball way better than they did last year. But I think Hendon Hooker ran that offense way better than a lot of people gave him credit for.
He had that thing humming last season.
A lot of people didn't give him his credit as he did, but he was not a runner, but he did what those mobile quarterbacks to get elusive, to create the play longer, and then he ran when he needed to get those 10, 11, 12 yards on a 3rd and 4. And so Milton, what they say is, a lot of people say they would like to see Milton run a little bit more, use his athletic ability, but he's more of like, I'm just going to stand in the pocket here and gunsling.
I think we'll see. I think we'll see it this week, because the first 2 weeks, like you said, he probably didn't have to do it. But this week, if you're Heupel, you're like, we got to get QB run game in there, because if the defense is going to blitz, if Florida's going to blitz, he's going to have to pull that ball out of the pocket and get 3, 4, 5 yards to stay ahead of the chains.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, like I say, Armstrong was I think the number 1 blitzer at Southern Miss last year as a coordinator, called more blitzes than anybody. So I know he's a majorly aggressive guy. He's a Kirby tree guy. He was Saban loves him. Like I say, so my thing is, that's going to be a huge part of if you do blitz, you better hope your back end is good and tight, and because you got to tackle if they do get in space, on those zero route covers, or if a guy gets underneath, you better tackle him on the spot. So it's going to be a challenge, I think. Obviously, for Florida, it's going to put them in a bind, and on the flip side, the Gators got to be able to run the ball. So, like I say, it's one of those things of those are what we know you got to do,
and then take advantage of red zone possessions.
Yeah, no,
that's what killed them in the Utah game.
Exactly, because if you're scoring, then you got a little back and forth.
Yeah,
I think the other thing too, with that being said, I think the crowd is going to be if they can stay in the game the longest, it should be big. And this is really Joe Milton's true first road test. I know he didn't. He played barely at Michigan. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he barely played in any. He didn't play last year. He played in the bowl game, which is not a road game. Then he played his first 2 games this year. So flying bullets, big time game, big time crowd. Joe Milton, the pressure is on. In my opinion, the pressure is on Tennessee.
Of course, you would say that. As a Gator fan, of course. Anytime your back's against the wall, you're like, oh, the pressure's on the other team.
Well, here's the deal. So you think the Gators have more pressure because Billy's on the hot seat, or we got to show
yes,
that's what. So you think Florida is more on the hot seat than? Yes. Or you think Florida's got their backs against the wall more than Tennessee?
Yeah, because you guys got to get going. The natives are restless, and then you lose to Tennessee 2 years in a row. You gave the stats earlier. When was the last time Tennessee lost in Gainesville?
2003.
Think about that.
2003.
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
20 years ago.
Half these kids weren't even alive.
Exactly. Well, it's funny that you bring up the crowd. Like, one of the keys to the game for me will be, when's the last time you've been to plenty Florida Tennessee games? I know you have, right? Growing up and whatnot. I've been to Neyland once. So I got to experience Neyland.
I've been there a couple of times too.
The key to the game is stopping Rocky Top. Stopping Rocky Top being played a gazillion times. Because you know what happens when Rocky Top's not played? That means they didn't get the first down. They didn't get a touchdown. They didn't get a huge stop on third down against the Gators. Because they play Rocky Top for any damn thing.
Yeah.
So if you can stop the band from playing Rocky Top, that tells me the Gators are doing what they're supposed to do. And I know people are really like, what the hell is the band have to do anything? If you ever been to a Tennessee game, they play Rocky Top a million times. They could get 3 yards and they're playing Rocky Top. Yeah. So that tells me, hey,
second in the SEC.
Yeah,
Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Second best. No, I don't disagree. Like I say, that means you're playing defense. That means you're getting stopped.
Exactly.
They're not scoring. What I was saying was, I feel like the pressure is off the Gators in a sense, because everybody doesn't think we're going to win. Nobody thinks this is going to be a successful season. Like, you kind of get to let it go, hang out, and of course,
he's setting us up.
My bias or whatever. But
Corso setup.
Here's the whole problem. Like, guess what? Tennessee, you're expected to win this game, so you better go out and win. You're favored. You're allegedly going to win the SEC and push Georgia. So this should be no problem. It should be no problem for you, Tennessee. So who you got? Who you got, Farrah? Give me your pick.
I can't wait for this reaction. Please, if you guys win, the crap I'm going to hear from you on Monday or Tuesday whenever you do the reaction show.
Because again, I'm totally like, it's kind of like last week. Like, Florida's got to show me that they have any capability of beating a team like Tennessee. They got to show me that
just like you fell asleep to the second half of the Utah game.
Yeah, exactly. Went to bet on them boys.
I don't believe that for
like
one
I said. Go ahead. Give me your prediction and what do you think is going to happen.
I think you guys are going to struggle with the big play. I think they're going to open. Tennessee's going to open it up, hit a couple big plays. Like you say, your Gators got to show me, can they complete drives? Can they finish to get in the red zone? Can you get in the end zone? Can you stop with the procedural penalties at the dumbest times? Can you run the ball? Can Billy say, hey, we got these 2 great backs in Johnson and ETN. Let's run the football when we need to. So Mertz, can you hit those targets on a run? Can those are things you got to worry about as a Florida fan. If Pearsall's wide open, can you put it on the one and not on the right shoulder, left shoulder when you don't need it to? There will be times where you got to lead him or put him behind the back shoulder, but can you do those things? But I got Tennessee winning 38-21.
38-21, baby.
Yeah, 38-21.
Blaze.
Put it down.
Man,
So for those out you gambling, that means they cover.
Man, we're gonna give up 38.
Yeah, man.
Damn. We're getting blazed up. All right. Well, I like your thought process, and it was exactly what we just said. And I think we will eliminate the big play because guess what? I don't think Joe Milton can hit the broadside of a barn. So he will throw a lot of incomplete.
They'll bring the 5-star in at some point.
Bring in Mr. Hawaii. Like throw his ass out there on a Friday or Saturday night in the swamp, and let's get after his ass too. But I think the Gators established a little bit of the run game. I think they're able to keep Mertz balanced.
Homer pick coming.
Homer pick, baby. The Gators get it done in a tight one, late field goal win, 26-24.
Do y'all even have a field goal kicker?
He's not very good, but he's enough to get. He's enough. It'll be like a 30. It'll be like a 30-yarder to close out the game.
What was your score again?
26-24.
So
Gators.
It'll be a low scoring game.
Yeah, I do. I think both. I'm not bought in on Tennessee's offense this year. This is not.
I'm not bought in on your Gators.
I agree. I'm not either. That's why I'm going out on a limb.
You're not bought in, but then you're picking them to win.
Because I still have I still have confidence that what they were supposed to do in Utah was not supposed to happen, and they played terrible.
Dominated.
They did
physically manhandled.
They did, and like I say, I'm afraid that could happen again. But I got to think you learn something in those losses, and you say, "Hey, what did we learn from those losses? Let's not make mistakes." And it's like the talent gap is, in my opinion, is not that much bigger.
No, it's not
Tennessee and Florida.
It's not huge.
Like I don't feel like but what it boils down to is again, like we just said, quarterback play. So you're going off Joe Milton and Graham Mertz. If Mertz can complete balls and we can somehow open up the run game, I think the offense can be efficient.
So Graham Mertz has won you over.
No, hell no, not at all. He's got go win me over by winning this game, But I still feel like
it's too many ifs. This is what's confusing to me.
No, it's not even that. What it is I'm not sold on Tennessee at all. Like Tennessee hasn't done nothing for me to basically be like.
You say that every year.
Let me rave over Tennessee. No,
last year. You say that every year.
No, last year was a completely different Tennessee team.
Come on, you thought you guys were going to beat Tennessee last year.
I did, and we damn sure. if AR doesn't damn fumble on the quarterback power play, it's a whole different game. And we only ended up losing by 7 on the road. But I mean, it was literally one of those games where you're like, Tennessee made more big plays than us.
So Tennessee wins. Tennessee wins. You're gonna sing Rocky Top?
Hell no. F Tennessee. Like I say,
you can't spell citrus without UT.
That's where they'll be going again this year because I don't think Tennessee's that good. Like
I don't think they're that good either, but I think they're good enough to beat your Gators.
I definitely don't. I don't disagree with anything you said, and everything you said can totally be true.
Yeah,
I'm just off my feeling of, Gator hopium that like I feel like these are the things we have to do. These are the things we can do. And it's like, it's not like we're playing Georgia where I'm like, hell no, we're not going to have a shot.
Yeah.
Kentucky, like it's like we can beat these teams if they play ball. But I don't know what this team looks like because what was shown against a real deal team, they got waxed at Utah. So if they play like that, then guess what? They're going to get waxed tomorrow night. So it's one of those things is what I think they can do and what they're capable of is two different things.
How many outfits? How many outfits we got laid out for tomorrow night?
We got one outfit, baby, all blue. Just like this, but it'll be different. Got to go with the all blue. Billy's calling out all blue.
You got the pregame outfit, you got the game outfit, and you got the postgame. But I know you got another one in there.
I'll probably rep some Bama, early because they got USF tomorrow. So, all right. So Farrell's got the Gators getting blazed up. That's fine. Go figure. I got.
Go figure. If I thought they would win, I'd pick them to win.
I know.
So you're saying I'm picking Tennessee because I hate your Gators?
No, because you just you picked them in a blowout fashion, so I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you think they're going to score 38 on us. Our defense is pretty good. You think you like Tennessee's offense? You like Tennessee's offense more than Utah, or Tennessee's defense more than Utah? If Tennessee and Utah played, who would you pick?
Probably Utah.
I guess it would depend on where the game was.
The thing.
I'm not trying. You don't want to compare. I mean, that's what people like to do. Is compare the.
If
this team played this game and this game. I did those two teams. I'm just curious who you think's better.
For me, what the thing is about Tennessee is that bind they put you in, where you got to choose: are we going to help with the pass, or we're going to help with the run? And like but I do agree with you on the whole Joe Milton thing.
I'm saying
Can
you're bought into Joe if you're just going to score 38.
No. But can he process fast to notice? All right, I got that safety on the hash, but he's coming in for run support, so I could flip it out to the receiver and hope that my big receivers could block and get the other receivers off. So that's the thing for me is like, do we play 5 in the box? Do we play 6 in the box with safeties over the top? And like I say, Tennessee was spreading people out where they're damn near a foot away from the sideline, their receivers. So we'll see how the defense plays it, because like as aggressive as you are, if he could just flip it out there, get a block, one of the guys can get loose. So that's
Squirrel right runs like 23 miles per hour, some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So it's
so
like,
that's, and then like you say,
jetpack.
Can the backs get off for Tennessee? Like I said, I think, and then the play calling on the other side, the play calling by the Gators on offense, like, are we just going to give our backs 11 carries for the whole game?
Yeah, no, you can't. You have to be able to establish the run somehow. I mean, the old stat in this game used to be when you talk about going to games. Ever since I was going to games back in, whatever high school, back in the late 90s through the 2000s, the stat was for this game was the team who rushed more always won, like every single time. So I know that stat's kind of changed a little bit because teams like to throw it way more, and they use the run game as like their offset.
I think it still holds true though.
But if you're able to run the ball and control the game, like here's the thing. The Gators are going to try to, I think they're going to try to limit the possessions for Tennessee because of that offense. So can they establish some sort of run? Can they get first downs?
Yeah.
To keep the game, slowed down in a sense,
so,
and play a little bit of a game.
The rule that you hate this season may play in your favor. The clock rule.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I'm not the only one who hates it. All the coaches in America hate it too, but whatever.
Adapt and overcome. Adapt and overcome.
It's not about everybody can adapt and make changes. Of course, you have to do it and say, okay, well, we have to not worry about we got to get out of bounds and blah, blah, blah. First down NFL rules. But like, it's not about that. It's just a dumb rule. They just want to put more commercials in your games. Farrah wants less plays and more commercials.
But teams are still running at hyper speed and putting up points.
Yeah, that's because of the style of play. It's just like
exactly.
So you're saying every team in America has to run Indy? They have to run fast-paced offenses?
I mean, adapt and overcome. I'm sure the coaches at Navy love the clock rule.
Yeah, I mean it's not a huge
that run the
right now, but it's annoying.
Because I want more.
I want more college. I want more college football.
Yeah, I love college football. I wish the one thing we do agree on is cutting down damn halftime.
Well, I say that's the deal is when you run. I agree. Well, they're not going to cut down halftime because they got to let the bands participate. It's not like the NFL where it's just let's play some music and have some dogs run around on the field and get it back out there.
If HBCU band ain't there, I don't want to hear it.
I agree. I mean, did you see Ohio State? They did like a SpongeBob skit last week. It was pretty cool.
I take it back. Their band's they're pretty creative. They're pretty creative when it comes to halftime shows. But if I had to choose, just take an HBCU band everywhere and let them play during halftime.
Don't you think the HBCU teams want to see their band play at their games?
Hey,
Jackson State, you want their band to leave the Deion's old team and say let's go play at Florida State this weekend?
I'm sure if you cut a check, they probably wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll give you $500,000 for your band to come and play.
Yeah.
What do you think the presidents of those schools are going to say?
We need them at our halftime show. We need to get Crunk. We need to get Crunk out here.
We're going to leave 10 people back to play for our game and send the other 200 people. I mean, you got to realize how big these bands are at a lot of HBCUs.
Yeah, no, they're like I said,
you could split them up. They're huge.
No, you probably could, but again,
yeah.
Who do you think pays for the who do you think pays and does things for the Pride of the Sunshine Band? The band obviously has to play Rocky Top, so the Pride of the Southland Band. If you got, they want to play at halftime of the Gator game, so so you're not going to get that. So cut that out. Forget it. Who cares?
The one time
guess what? They're gonna go back and put the plays back in. They're gonna change the rule next year.
Yeah, I know. The one time I went to Neyland, it was Tennessee, Georgia, Georgia came back and won. I thought it was a joke of how many times they play Rocky Top.
Mm-hmm.
I seriously thought it was a joke. And then they break the band up and they send them to different parts of the stadium. And the north end zone could be playing Rocky Top 1 second and the south end zone. And then you're just like,
yeah, my two favorite memories of going to Rocky Top was my first ever trip was my boy G Scott's freshman year. Me and Dad went to that game.
Big Bill.
And that was the Jabbar Gaffney touchdown, baby.
That wasn't a touchdown.
6 points, baby. Touchdown. And then the other one was the Swamp King games with Chris Leak and Tim Tebow, baby. The 1 point win. That I've been a couple other times. I've been to a couple games where we lost, but those were the two.
Yeah, but we ain't gonna talk about those, right?
Yeah, we won't talk about those. So
yeah.
All right.
Speaking of that, I remember you being sad about that. What was it? Was it 2000? 2001? In Gainesville?
Oh yeah, that's one of the last times they beat us, like we just said.
Yeah,
in the last 21 years.
That
was the makeup game from
the
9/11.
Yeah. Oh, not right. 9/11.
Yeah, so we were supposed to play in week 3. Osama bin Laden decides to bomb America, and everything went on pause and hold, and then we had to play Tennessee at the very end of the year after Florida State.
So that was the year. That was the year I went to Neyland and watched Tennessee, Georgia, when Jason Witten and Big Albert Hainsworth and
Travis Stevens was the guy who killed us in Gainesville.
Yeah. All right, we can move on. I know we're bringing up bad memories for you.
It's very bad. So that's why F Tennessee. I hope we blaze their ass tomorrow and get a win. So
we know.
All right, we're gonna go rapid fire real quick on a couple national games of who we think's gonna win some of these games. I guess this is it used to be a fun matchup, but it hasn't been great over the last couple seasons. But LSU Mississippi State still has a little bit of a lure to it, just because LSU's still got high expectations on the season. Mississippi State, RIP Mike Leach is kind of just a weird thing to not have him there. But
the Pirates,
I like LSU in this game.
Listening to a couple shows this week, it sounds like the natives are getting restless in Baton Rouge over Daniels, and will he still be the quarterback? I still think they're good enough to win this game. It is, isn't it? Like, they lost to a good Florida State team.
Yeah, and he played. He actually played pretty good in that game too. It's not like he threw 5 picks and was terrible.
They lost to a top 5 team.
Yeah,
a really talented top 5 team.
Yeah, Baton Rouge. You talking about Gators and Billy Napier? Like, I've already heard them.
Fire Brian Kelly.
Which is nuts to me. So
which is nuts.
Yeah, so I agree with you. The natives are a little restless. They need a nice little statement win. Obviously,
I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
The one thing I am curious about, how do they play Will Rogers? And I haven't watched Mississippi State this season. Did they change the offense up? Is it true air raid, or did they get a lot of run concepts?
It's supposed to be kind of like keeping it, because Will Rogers has thrown for a ton of yards. I think obviously they had a duck game week 1 against like Southeast Louisiana. They won like 48-7. And then they kind of struggled last week against Arizona, who hasn't been a very good Pac-12 team. Yeah. But they won by
Pac-12, buddy.
Yeah, Pac-12 is good.
8 teams in the top 12, top 25.
They're top to bottom good, I guess. So, but yeah, I think we both like LSU in that one.
Yeah, I like LSU.
The other game is the game between the Hedges, the number 1 team in the country, kind of finally playing a team with a heartbeat.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I would give South Carolina's definitely better competition than Georgia's first 2 games. But I still feel like Georgia's far superior. I think Georgia wins easily. I think they get after Spencer Rattler. I don't think they can block Georgia.
That's the only reason why I wanted this game on our list, is to talk about, did South Carolina improve at those tackle positions?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If they haven't, that kid's going to get killed. He's not going to make it the rest of the season.
No, I totally agree. And like they lost, obviously, that Carolina game, got sacked 100 times.
Yeah.
Spencer didn't play bad, actually, when he didn't get sacked.
Didn't have time.
And then, there was a point in that game where, it felt like South Carolina could win the game until it got late into the second half.
That was the crazy thing about it.
I think, too, everybody wasn't, they kind of had a, not necessarily a lackluster performance, but, they didn't blow out Furman last week until, late in the game.
No.
But I still feel like South Carolina is a good team, but I want to know how good are they, So
that goes for Georgia as well. How good is Carson? Is Carson going to come out and ball? And what will Georgia do this weekend? Like you say, they're playing a team with a pulse. Can they run the ball? Can they get the ball to their playmakers? And who are their playmakers other than
Georgia? If Georgia wins 35-17, is that an impressive enough win, or is that a good win? I mean,
that's enough for me.
Yeah, I mean 35-17. I think they're going to cover because I picked them to cover, and it's like 28 is the line or something like that. But
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be a good barometer check on like how good is Georgia, and is South Carolina any good, or did we overrate them like we've done the last 2 or 3 years with Shane Beamer?
Yeah,
he had the 2 big wins late in the year last year, beating Tennessee and Clemson. So they need to get some of that magic back for, I think, Carolina fans to believe and buy back into what they got going on. But Georgia's Georgia.
They're going to win.
Exactly. But I do want to see them finally play a team who has top level talent. Their first 2 games were just awful.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I say, it is what it is. And then the other game that I like that's kind of interesting just because of the dynamics going on with behind the scenes, with the whole Mel Tucker thing. This was one of those matchups where you're like, all right, Michigan State, Big Ten team who's been playing pretty good, going up against a good Pac-12 team in Washington who's got a ton of yards with Penix and he's putting up big time numbers and all that.
The lefty.
I think I don't know if it's too much stuff going on in the background for Michigan State, or do they somehow rally around them and play for them, and then it makes the game close. I like Washington in the game just because I like what Penix is doing, and I feel like they're just a better team.
They are. I don't know if Michigan State can handle all those wideouts at Washington State. If they can't get pressure on Penix, it could get ugly. I think UW's going to win. I don't know if they cover the 16.
Yeah, the line's pretty big.
The line's pretty big. I don't know if they cover the 16 when I last looked at it. But like you say, everything going on at Michigan State, I don't know. I like Washington.
Yeah, their 2 wins were Central Michigan and Richmond is who Michigan State played.
Yeah.
Not impressive. They won easily in those games.
Yeah.
But I think Boise's always a decent team, and Washington killed them. And then they beat Tulsa by 33 last week. So they
setting up for the Heisman campaign for Penix.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's the easy one. I think that's the easy one. I think it's not easy, but I think Washington gets the win. But like you said, I don't know if they cover. But
yeah.
And then lastly, but not the team that is taking over the college football world right here, Boulder, Colorado, the Fighting Primetimes, Deion Sanders and the Rolly on my wrist. What's crazy is this game is getting the buzz, but I think it's just because of Colorado. It's not because of the actual game itself. Because Colorado State is terrible. That was one of their wins. That was their only one win last year.
Yeah.
So I think they obliterated.
It's not even really a rivalry game anymore.
What I was going to do, I meant to do this before we started the segment. Like I was going to say, when I come to press conferences, I put my shades in my glasses.
Didn't your mother tell you to take your hat and your sunglasses off?
She always did. What's funny is somebody put a thing out the other day, and it showed Norvell and all these pressers with his visor on. So he's not going according to his word. What a freaking idiot. But anyways,
why would you even say anything?
I think it's just I think people just want to just talk about it just so I don't know, make them relevant. It's not even clout chasing.
But the thing is, how does it make you relevant? Like you're not getting any recruits. No one wants to go to wherever the hell they play in Colorado. I can't remember. But like Colorado Springs, I think it is. No, or is that Air Force? Whatever. It's not helping. It's not helping your university one way or another. So for you to say that, it puts a bullseye on your back. You get a little story time on the news for like 5 minutes, and then you get smoked Saturday night. Like I just don't understand why it was even smart to say it. Like why?
Yeah.
Like
they play their games in Fort Collins.
There you go.
Yeah, Air Force. Air Force is the other locale. But no, I agree. I don't know why. Like I say, it's your team's a 3-touchdown underdog. You're not very good. Colorado's been putting up big time numbers on offense. They're, getting better on defense.
You better hope Deion calls the dogs off.
College game days there, big noon game kickoffs there, 60 minutes is there. It's
everyone's there.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty wild, just the phenomenon of like the takeover of Deion in Colorado.
You know what was crazy? Just say hypothetically, if he didn't say anything, right? If you're Colorado, you could be set for all this stuff, distractions of, like you say, college game day, big noon Saturday, and then looking ahead to next week to go to Eugene to play Oregon. And the kids may have a letdown, and because they're not focused on this Saturday night, and they're just thinking ahead, or oh, look at my shine, I'm on TV or whatever, because that's just one of those things that happens. But now you put a bullseye on your back, and then you get those kids like locked in to Saturday night. Like they're locked in to play Colorado State. They're not thinking about next week in Eugene, whereas before they probably were. And I know Coach Prime probably wasn't, but we're talking about 17, 18, 19-year-olds thinking about next week's game, which is going to be even bigger than this week's game.
No, I agree. It's kind of dumb. I don't like. I like locker room and bulletin board material, but it's cool. Sure. It's cool for all of us to talk about. But once you get once you play that first snap, you're not thinking about, man, you remember what the coach said, but but it's just one of those things for us to talk about, and just you use it as a motivator right before maybe you go on the field and be like, this team.
Yeah. But it does get you. It does get you focused, like back in.
I already think Deion's doing a hell of a job with that, anyways. The way
they won one more game than they did last year.
Yeah,
of course he is.
But I think what's cool is too, Deion and those guys, they give you such a good perspective on what they got going inside with Deion Sanders Jr. Like, literally you hop on whatever and you can see, T.O.'s there, Wallow and Gilly are there, whoever, just all these random celebrities just coming in, and, you got Lou Young out there doing skits and stuff. So it's just like the college football world has been revolving around them ever since week one. And they've pretty much been one of the hottest topics of, and I don't think it's necessarily going to go away either. Even if they lose, they'd have to start going a run of losses, and then it'd be like, okay.
Did you see the video of him, what he was saying with the economic impact Boulder last weekend?
Yeah, they
like $13 million or $18 million, something crazy.
I think it was like 18 million with hotel sales and just
the Deion effect
sales and all that, for sure. For sure. And it makes you wonder, like, man, what could he have done at like an Auburn or a Florida or something, Florida State?
Yeah,
he was like, it's kind of like, it's not like people thought like, man, is this going to work? It's just like,
well, that's what drives me nuts too, is when you hear the national pundits talk about this team's dead, oh, this team will never win again. It's all about getting the right person.
Yeah.
I remember when they used to talk about
Nebraska. I don't feel like Nebraska's ever going to win again.
Well, it depends on who the hell they get there.
Yeah.
I remember years before Saban, they were talking about Alabama will never win another national championship.
That was a great talking about that. You bringing that up before Saban got there. Somebody posted, "How loyal are you?" or something I saw, and it was like, can you name the last four coaches before Saban and in between Gene Stallings?
Mike Price, Shula. What's the defensive coach with the crazy voice? I can't think of his name. I know I got two of the four. Who are the other two?
You got Shula.
Yeah. And Mike Price.
Not Price. It was Mike DeBose.
Is it Mike DeBose? Yeah. No. Price from Washington State. Remember, he got fired for hanging out with the strippers.
Yeah. Dennis Francione.
I'm rolling, baby.
You remember Dennis Francione?
Yeah. Hell of offensive coordinator, terrible coach, head coach.
He was from TCU, right?
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't remember the Mike Price thing?
I did. Why am I drawing a blank on Mike Price?
He was at Washington State.
Yeah.
Then he went to Bama and he got caught up with the strippers, and the strippers were telling the story about how he was yelling, "I'm rolling, baby," with the money in his hand.
Yes, not. Yeah, he was there. He was there very briefly.
He was there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So he technically didn't coach a game, but he still was the head coach of Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
but back on our topic.
Basically, Gene Gene Stallings was, back in,
Yeah.
And then it was DeBose, Francione, Mike Price for one season.
Yeah.
Then they went to Shula. Then that was when they got your boy Saban, 2007.
But like I say, it just goes back to getting the right person. Hell, before last season, everyone was talking about USC will never win again, USC this, and then Lincoln Riley goes there and he turns the program around.
Yeah.
It's all about getting the right person.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley, Deion, those guys are like trendsetters, man. If Lincoln Riley would have went to Florida or LSU last year, or like instantaneously, you're better, just like that.
Every LA quarterback wants to stay home now.
Yeah, so like getting a guy like a Napier or a guy like Brent Venables or something like that, you're like, okay, are these the right guys?
Yeah.
Can they build the program up? Can who knows? It's got to take some time. Like a Norvell. Like you're like when Florida State hired Norvell for Memphis, you're like, okay, maybe he can be good. We got to go through these lumps. We kept
even Mario at Miami.
But I think
the right guy.
I think Mario has a little bit more clout just because he won at a big time program before than these guys.
Yeah, he has a name.
Yeah,
because even like Lane Kiffin, you think about if Lane goes to a Florida something like that, you're going to get skill guys out the ass. He's going to bring skill guys, but then it still matters. Can you get those trench bullies? And that's the one thing I love about what Mario's doing. It's all about the trenches. Can you get those trench bullies in there?
Yeah.
And like I say, and then Deion is just, dude, I used to wear a Deion shirt back in high school underneath my pads every Friday night.
I'm about to get me a hoodie.
Yeah. But yeah, that has the effect of it. Like I had it was a Deion Nike shirt with him in the playground, just chilling like a cartoonish. And I wore that under my pads. So that tells you that was 20 something years ago.
Yeah. Well, you remember I had that poster of him. It was like huge. It was like the big one with him. It was like the Bo Jackson style with the shoulder pads and the baseball bat with the chains, baby.
And we're 40-year-old men. And now he still get these kids to believe and come and play for him. So like like I say, it's all about getting the right guy. As much as I know people hate Urban Meyer. Once Urban left, every school wanted Urban after he left Florida with the chest pains or allegedly. And look what he did at Ohio State. Didn't work out for the Jags. He's probably a college coach and not a NFL coach. I mean, we could say that about Nick Saban. He's a hell of a college coach. It didn't work in the NFL. It is what it is, but it's all about getting the right guy. I mean, you imagine if Saban would have went somewhere else other than Bama?
Yeah, no, you would. Where would Bama be at? Like not with all those, not with all those natties. And then you would think that wherever he was going to win because he was pretty good at Michigan State before he really got rolling, and obviously he was really good at LSU before he took the Miami job. So yeah, it's definitely about fit, and then consistency and all that. So
and it's getting everybody in line: president, AD, head coach. And that's been the biggest problem at Miami for years. President didn't give a shit about the football program, kind of, sort of, only when they were on national TV. And then the AD, we went through like 4 or 5 ADs in like a 6-year period. And then you're just bringing in coaches and you're telling the coaches, hey, when Randy was there, we want this offensive coordinator, we want this defensive coordinator. So you're not going to let the guy pick his own coordinators and bring his own coaches in. Yeah. So it's all about, will the president hire a good AD, and then will that good AD hire a coach? That's what made Florida great. Yeah, Jeremy Foley, and he hired Spurrier. I mean, look at all the programs at Florida under Jeremy Foley.
Yeah, that was when we were on our successful train. I don't know if I love Scott Strickland, so
yeah.
We'll find out as the season goes on.
Other than baseball and gymnastics, what have the Gators really done in the last 10 years in other sports?
Yeah.
He made the right hire in baseball. It sucks to say that as a Miami fan.
Scott Strickland didn't make that hire, though. That was a Foley guy.
Oh, was it a Foley guy? Oh, okay. I thought Strickland. I thought it was a Strickland hire.
Heck no.
Well, I can't give the guy credit then.
You can't. Scott Strickland gets zero credit for anything right now. So, yeah.
What about the new facilities?
That wasn't even him either. That was actually your boy Dan. That was your boy Dan saying we needed some new stuff. So anyway, but yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna wrap this one up. Y'all go. We appreciate y'all listening in.
Oh, we're not gonna do our top 10. We're not gonna do our top 10.
I forgot about my top 10. You know my laptop's about to die, but because I didn't plug it in today. I didn't plug it in because we weren't supposed to go for an hour. We were only supposed to go for 30 minutes, but we love talking.
No, that was the
football.
reaction show. That was the reaction show.
Oh, the reaction show. We need more juice so you can talk trash. Like, next week you can talk trash about the Gators. Yeah, but no, my top 10 pretty much. We'll hit it real quick and then we'll get out of here for you guys.
Yeah,
it's pretty much according to the AP. I like Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Hook 'em Horns, Southern Cal, Ohio State, Penn State, UW from out west, Notre Dame, and Alabama are my top 10. Pretty much according to the AP poll.
I just got Texas and Florida State flipped. The only reason why, I like I say, I like Florida State, what they're doing. I just got to put Texas at 3 just because they went into Tuscaloosa and won that game. That's the only reason why.
I'm totally for that.
They said it was a neutral site game in Orlando, but it was 90% Florida State fans. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not knocking that win and not putting them at number 3, but going into Tuscaloosa, it was just a tougher thing to do. If they would have did that, if Florida State would have did that in Baton Rouge, I would have said they're number 3.
Like I say, again, who cares? You're splitting hairs. It's 3 and 4. They're both in the playoff right now. If it was the end today, so it's good.
So I got UGA, Michigan, Texas, Florida State, Ohio State, USC, Penn State, Notre Dame, Washington, and Bama at 10.
Boom. Yeah. I like it. Like I say, it's an early season. Obviously, these teams are got to play each other.
It's going to change.
It's going to change a lot. It's going to change a ton.
Next week.
Next week's slate is beautiful, guys. Like,
oh my God. I'm so ready.
This is probably one of the best college football slates I can remember in a while. So we'll definitely, you guys need to come check us out and listen to us break down some of those games. So we appreciate the listeners that we do have. If you would, go hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the freaking share button. Give me some love, Facebook. What the hell? Twitter. Nobody wants to share and like our videos.
Well, speaking of giving out love, no. I'm going to tell you. Hopefully your computer doesn't die.
Please hurry up because this is about to.
Just going to give a shout out to the guys in the Bahamas. Hey, they've been listening. They've been hitting me up.
Bahamian brothers.
Yeah.
L-Train 8. Yeah. Familia is familia. So the boys of the Bahamas, we definitely appreciate y'all.
I'll give you guys a shout out individually next time. My boys' computers dying. So shout out to the guys in the Lemon League. That's our fantasy league. So there you go. Like, subscribe, share.
That's what's up. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate all y'all. Like I say, we'll tighten it up and we'll make it good. And
this was the fun one.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It was juicy. So like I say, we'll see what happens with all these games Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. And like I say, we'll see what happens and see how it shakes out, dog.
All right. Later.
Peace.